I've made macarons successfully 2 times.
Hi, I'm Phil.
Hi, I'm Will.
Welcome to Pretty Good Cooking.
Pretty good.
Tonight on the show, we're gonna teach you how to make macarons. How the f do you say that?
Macarons.
Macaron. That sounds...
It's French.
Yeah. This is a Extra Life charity donation fulfillment episode. This one's for Chris, aka Snoogans, who requested that we make these chocolate macarons. And I found it hilarious when he told me that he thought this would be an easy way for me to get into baking. So, like I typically do when I see baking recipes, I read the recipe of his request and said, I'm not gonna do that. And so that's how Will came to the kitchen. But I'm going to be helpful in such a way that I only help and do not mess up this recipe. I have to go pick up my dog. I'll be back. All right.
I guess I'll get started. First thing that we want to do is handle the eggs. But before we can handle eggs, we have to first do any potential desanitizing of the mixing bowl that you will have your eggs put into.
Desanitize? We're gonna make it dirty?
Desanitize. Or sanitize? Where's that lemon at, Phil?
It's right here.
Okay.
Are you're rubbing lemon in that thing?
That's right.
Okay. Why don't you hold it over the bowl and then I'll squeeze the lemon onto your paper towel.
All right. Perfect. So what we're gonna do is take this lemon juice, and you could also use white vinegar if that's what you have on hand. And we're just gonna wipe down the inside of this, and this is to remove any potential grease that might be left over as a residue in here. And that's because the internet tells me that meringues do not like fats. This recipe calls for 100 egg whites, and the times that I've made this.
Did you perhaps mean 100 grams?
What did I say?
You said 100 egg whites. We're gonna need more eggs.
100 grams of egg whites, which I found equates to basically 3 eggs. There might be some variation going on there. Make sure you do not get any yolk in this, because that will ruin your meringue and you have to start over. So go ahead and use like a separate bowl or something to collect your egg whites, and kind of just pass the egg back and forth till you got most of the white, and then dump that into the bowl. So yeah, we got 38 grams from just that one egg. And then hold on to your egg yolk. I'm sorry, Phil, could you get me another bowl?
Absolutely.
So yeah, we'll be using those for the buttercream filling. Repeat that 2 more times. This is one of those recipes where you can't really just wing it. You do have to be pretty precise in the measurements that you're using.
Sounds terrible. He's gonna pour it slowly so as to ensure exactly 100 grams.
Oh my goodness. Scoop it out with your fingers.
That's not the route I would have gone.
It's working!
I like your style.
It's working! You know what? 101?
That's pretty good.
That's perfect.
Pretty good.
That's perfect. Okay. And then another piece is also that you typically want them to be like room temperature. And so what we're gonna do now is just put those eggs to the side and start sifting our almond flour mixture, because that's a pain in the ass. And that'll take us, I don't know, 10 minutes or so to let the eggs get to room temperature a little more closely. And we'll be using 90 grams of superfine almond flour, 90 grams powdered sugar, and since this recipe is calling for a chocolate macaron, we'll also be putting in 20 grams of cocoa powder. 90 grams. No! Not again! 90 grams of sugar. Oh no! Too much sugar. And then 20 grams of the cocoa powder. Alright, so we got that taken care of.
It's sifting time.
That's sifting time. Honestly, this is the part I like the least.
So why don't I do it? I see you already spilled some of it. Vinny! Vinny! Come here! Hey buddy, you got something you want to ask? Oh, you just wanted to be a part of the process. Smells good, huh, Vinny? So what would we do at this point?
So what we want to do, essentially, is try and break those big balls down.
Just do that until you're done, I think.
Alright, Now that Phil has successfully sifted our almond flour mixture, that is the powdered sugar,
That's right, I contributed. There it is.
we will set that aside and go back to our eggs, which have had a moment to be slightly less cold. They're probably still cold. That's fine. We are going to start whipping. We are going to do this until they start getting frothy. So we're almost there. Those are a little frothy. And then when we start getting a little bit frothy here, we're going to add in a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. And this will help the meringue have like slightly stiffer peaks. Put it back on. I also forgot, as we are whisking this, we are going to also need to slowly add in 90 grams of sugar. 100 grams of sugar.
Oh no! Hey viewers, do you have any good jokes about stiff peaks? If so, let us know in the comments below. Alright, 100 grams of sugar, expertly measured by me.
Very slowly adding in the granulated sugar. And this is so it can dissolve as we're putting it in.
You just keep doing that until you're done. Or in this case, until Will's done.
So I've added in all the sugar, and as you can see, it's starting to definitely turn like a sort of soft white. But we're not even at soft peak yet. See how it's still dribbling? So we need to keep whipping it at high until it can go ahead and actually hold its shape. See when that happens. We have reached the point of a soft peak. So if we were to take this off, it would sort of fall back down on itself. This is the point in time where you typically add your flavorings or colorings that you want to do to your macaron. Well, like plain macarons, usually you're going to use like a teaspoon of vanilla. But this recipe isn't called for that, so we're not going to do it this time.
I like vanilla though.
We can put vanilla in there.
Let's do it!
Let's do it.
Phil's the touch.
That's right, my executive decision. Vanilla. I like it. Favorite ice cream flavor? Vanilla. Okay, I'm measuring it. Alright, here's my expert technique. Okay, you see that? You see that?
All right, and then we go ahead and keep whipping this until it's nice and stiff. So you'll know when you've reached a stiff peak when you see that a lot of the meringue is sort of coalescing inside of the whisk itself, and also when you turn your bowl upside down and it does not come out.
Oh my god.
So go ahead.
Felt like I was at the Dairy Queen.
So now what we're going to do is we'll fold in our dry ingredients. You'll want to start off very slowly to incorporate this. So I think most people say like about a 1/3 cup to slowly add in. I'm just going to do like 3 spoonfuls. So you do not want to mix with your spatula because that's going to take all the air out of the meringue you just spent like 5 minutes whipping up. What you want to do is fold it. So you're going to like come around from the sides, go down the center, and cut it, scoop up from the bottom, and kind of just do motions like this. And the idea is that we are slowly folding it together to mix it rather than actually mixing it. So
this is like the peak example of why I don't with baking. You just can't mix it this time. You gotta, mix it without mixing. If you mix it without mixing just the wrong way, it's gonna ruin everything.
mixing versus folding, explain it to me. And yeah, like this is the best I could get was don't just straight up mix it, kind of just like work around the sides and go down the middle. So now I'll put in like about half or 1/3 or some arbitrary amount that I feel like of our mixture. I guess the other thing to say is that like it'll start off kind of looking like dry, but there is another thing to look for.
There is another.
But it's not right now.
Did you completely fold?
It is folded. So this is what it looks like when you folded it. We have this sort of soft looking batter. The thing that we're looking for is where you can like actually drizzle it into a figure 8. So we're not quite at that stage yet. And so what you need to do is help get rid of some of the air that you actually worked into the meringue in the first place. If you press down with the flat side of your spatula, you can even see some of these air pockets. So you go ahead and press it up against the side of your bowl, and then go ahead and like fold it again. Almost there. honestly, I feel like we're probably there. Like that would figure eight. Yeah, that's totally a figure eight. Okay. Once your batter is ready, what you'll want to do is get 2 cookie trays, preferably ones with edges to them, so that way you get an even dispersal of air throughout the cookie tray. And then you will want to get parchment paper, cut that to the size of your tray. What you will need to do next is grab a piping bag. We got a little fastener that we put on the inside. Just snip the tip, put on our little lid, screw it on. If you do not have a piping bag, you could technically use just like a Ziploc bag.
I've done it.
I like to put it into a cup, and we're going to put in a bit. The reason for that is so that you can actually close up the back end and use it to squeeze stuff and have the batter actually come out. So twist. And then we're going to be piping perpendicular to the trays themselves. Rather than me describing that, let's just take a quick look.
Looks like a little pile of food.
You can make them as big or as small as you want. I've heard about a quarter is usually what you want to do.
Will it wreck anything if I try to do one?
No, you want to go for it?
Yeah. Like that?
Yeah.
Like that? Okay, that's good for me.
All right.
Thank you. Thank God Will's here.
All right, so we finished piping, and this is what they look like if you do a mediocre job at piping. They are not uniform in size, but these look pretty good. These will need to sit for about 40 minutes to go ahead and make a film across the top of them. But before we let them rest, one thing that you need to do is get any excess air out of them. And you do that by literally just like lifting them up a few inches and dropping it a few times. Like literally.
It's working.
This
I
is
can
what-
see the bubbles.
And if you really wanted to, you could like go in with a toothpick to get rid of any ones that you see.
I don't want to do that.
And I don't either, so we're not going to. In that meantime, you can make the filling for your sandwich cookie. You can do whatever you want for a macaron. You can make a ganache, but this is pretty straightforward, and you can use some of the eggs that you had previously. So we are now going to be making our French buttercream with, I think, a cocoa powder to make it chocolate. So we are going to measure out 90 grams of sugar, 100 grams of sugar. 100 grams, and then you're gonna need an 1/8 cup of water, and you're basically gonna be making a syrup. Pour in your sugar, pour in your water, and then we want that to dissolve. Eventually, it should get to 240 degrees, so we'll let that get up to heat. In the meantime, come back to our eggs. So this recipe only calls for 2 of our egg yolks. So we'll put 2 of them in. And then we're just gonna whip this for a bit until they can get a little bit light and fluffy.
I'm working on the syrup over here. Looks like it's got a high viscosity. Yeah, there you go.
Alright, so we're gonna bring this to a low speed so we don't whip hot sugar water everywhere. Slowly pour it in.
Looks great, I guess.
When it's in there, go ahead and bring it up to high speed until it gets nice and creamy. Alright, so you need to let it whip until it is no longer hot, and it should be kind of nice and fluffy looking like this. So if I turn it on, you can see it actually maintains its shape for a little before it's sinking back in. So now what we'll do is we're going to add in a 1/2 stick of butter, but only a little bit at a time at medium speed. So I'm going to take a softened stick. Do not add in frozen or cold butter because the whisk will not be able to actually incorporate that. You could probably do like 1 tablespoon at a time. Should be good. So turn on to medium speed and chuck it in. You want to wait till it's fully incorporated. We're adding in the next one. Yeah. And you do this until you're done with the butter. Alright, so once you've incorporated your butter, it should look something like this.
We've decided to elevate this recipe by using Pink Himalayan Salt that I'm going to freshly grind because it's totally different from regular salt. Okay.
That does seem like more than a sprinkle. A pinch.
I'm putting it in.
Alright. In addition to salt, we need a 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. And we don't need to weigh this because it's not being baked. So it is all to flavor at this point. And that goes a teaspoon of vanilla. And let this go on high for a little bit. We should do that on slow first.
Calm down, Will. Will and his sixth hour of making macarons today decides it's time to pick up the pace.
That's right.
That's all I had to say.
All right, so we whipped it for a little bit.
It's delicious.
Eventually we want to put that in a piping bag, but we still gotta wait for these cookies to actually bake and cool, so we'll do it then. See you in a bit. You ready? Off camera, we preheated the oven to 300 degrees. Make sure you have a rack in the center. We're gonna put our first tray of cookies in there, bake them one at a time. And we're gonna cook for 14 minutes. I don't know if you actually need to flip them at the halfway mark, but I do. So we'll see you here in about 14 minutes.
It's just a burger.
All right, so first tray of macarons are done. They're coming out. We got a few cracked shells going on. They still taste great. I'm not experienced enough with macarons to know why or why not it worked the way it did or did not. Like, I'm not disappointed with these, but I'm not like thrilled with it either. All right, so our cookies have come out of the oven. We've given them a chance to cool down. I have transferred our chocolate buttercream into a piping bag. So the way this works, as you might expect, take one of your cookie halves, the shells. Go ahead and pipe around the edge.
Around the outside.
Like that. And find a shell that kind of matches it in size. Gently press it together. And boom, there you go. You get yourself a chocolate macaron.
Yay!
You wanna try it, Phil?
I do. I'm so happy that I get to eat it first. Holy moly, that's really good. Dude, make some more. That's like, the cookies themselves have that really nice shell from like how you like let them set first, right? So they got that film. And then the buttercream is bitchin'. That is so good. Wow. Dude, these are off the chain.
I gotta eat one?
Yeah, you do.
They turned out really well.
That's really good.
The shells themselves have that crunchy exterior, but then they're like super chewy when you chew into it.
Yeah.
And if you let them sit even longer for like a day or two, they'll get even chewier. They're dangerous. It's hard to eat just one. Yeah, that's how you do them.
So that concludes our macaron video. Thank you to Will for making them and letting me hang out while he did it. Thank you to Chris for all your generous donations to charity. If you would like us to produce a video for your charitable donations, check out our Extra Life fundraiser that we do every year. Links in the description, I think. Happy cooking. I just saw Will spend about 3 hours making this and came to the conclusion that I will probably never do it myself. But if I can somehow con Will into doing it again, I will definitely do that. We'll see you next time on PGC. Bye-bye. Say bye, Will.
Bye-bye.